Hello, this is New Wave of British Heavy Metal.com. It's 28th of November 2020. Today we're going to look at an album that is from a sort of an undiscovered New Wave of British Heavy Metal band from back in the day. Before we get into it, the usual favour, if I may be so bold, and that's to ask you to subscribe to the channel if you wouldn't mind. Appreciate that, really would. It would be a big help. Anyway, today let's take a look at a band called Mother's Ruin and their soul album, Road to Ruin. This is what you might call a undiscovered gem from the new wave of British heavy metal days. And it's something a little bit different as well. If I recall my history, and I'm very old these days, so I might not be recalling to accurately point it out if I'm not. Mother's Ruin formed around the end of the 1970s. And of course, that was at the time when new wave of British heavy metal was really taking off, and you know there was a band on every street corner trying to make it. Mother's Ruin being one of them. And whilst Mother's Ruin weren't turn it up to 11 and crank out the big riffs until the cows come home, they were a little bit different in their style and delivery. And all that their career amounted to back then was, I believe, a couple of singles in addition to this soul album, Road to Ruin. It was, well, what can we say about it? Obscurity, I guess, due to the usual story of, you know, the cliched management issues that plagued many a band, and the stiff competition at the time that was needed to rise above the pack. And Road to Ruin has come a little bit hard to find over the years, but it is available on CD. It came out around about 3 years ago, and I believe it was one of the limited runs for these kind of things, but there are still copies still available as I'm recording this, say 28th of November 2020. I've looked on Amazon and it's still for sale there. And you know, I picked up my copy as I always do, and you know, go back to the days when I used to listen to this kind of stuff all the time and still do. And Mother's Ruin said that they're not as heavy as many bands from back then, but it's still a real pleasurable listen. You know, Mother's Ruin had more of a refined style, I suppose we could say, and leaning towards the more melodic end. But they can still, you know, put the heavy stuff in when they want to. And to add to the different flavours going on here, some of the songs on Road to Ruin venture even into sort of jazz rock and a bit of funk territory with the big throbbing bass line, and there's even some saxophones and whatnot thrown in from time to time, and the vocalist Dale Nathan has a really smooth set of pipes as well. As to the songs, we've got Victim of Love, which is a sort of gentle introduction. Paris is Burning steps it up a gear, and there's a really nice hook and a chorus to that. And then following that, we've got another 10 songs of really fine quality, well arranged and performed, which I guess you'd summarise as melodic stroke heavy rock. There's some really nice crisp solo work from the guitarist, and perhaps Street Fighters is the best song on the album. That's a nice little rocker going on as well. And would you believe for a band like Mother's Ruin that were more smooth than heavy, there was a contrasting style in support in bands that they shared the stage with as well, because I understand that they supported both Dire Straits and Motorhead. Now, could you get two more extremes than that? I mean, arguably Mother's Ruin are more Dire Straits than Motorhead, but even so, I guess you had to take what support slots you could. And anyway, whilst Mother's Ruin didn't hit big time back then, so it wasn't for the lack of trying, it wasn't for the lack of talent. And Road to Ruin is a fine album that stands up well to this day, some 40 years later. I still listen to it a lot. I like it a lot. I hope you would too if you checked it out. As always, in the description underneath the video, there is a link to the album on Amazon. And I say, as I'm recording this today, it's still on sale. Still copies available. And there's a link to the blog post, as there always is. And do check them out. As always, before I close, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'd appreciate that. And thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and take care.